Yo, welcome to another episode of Nothing Agreed. I mean, I'm back with the boys is always the saying. Baron,
It
how
doesn't
you
doesn't
doing?
change. Yeah,
Doesn't
I'm doing
change. Back
good.
with the boys, man.
Doing good. Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. I've been driving a lot, dude. My
Huh?
gas tank has just been getting absolutely railed.
That's no fun.
Um, no. So kind of been zipping around all over the place because my internship is about 2 hours away.
Hmm.
It's not an everyday thing, thankfully, but it's twice a week. So I'm zipping up and down there.
All
And
right.
yeah, just
Well,
doing stuff, hanging out with the lads, you
that's
know.
good. That's good. Well, speaking of getting railed, the
Whoa.
Indiana Pacers railed the Knicks right out of
That's
the
how,
conference
that is how
finals.
you
Right.
transition. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want a professional transition, that is how you do it right there. I mean, that
Thank
was a
you.
beautiful swing.
Thank you. Thank you. But yes,
Go
so the
on.
Knicks lost in six. What are our thoughts?
Here's
Yeah,
my
just
thoughts.
kind of
Let me
just
just
kind
say
of
this,
raw. What you got?
right? Right. I'm going to say this, and this is going to be straight from the cuff. This is going to be not about the game on the court. It's going to be
Hmm.
something after the game. Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau. That is breaking news. That
Hmm.
is something that we
Happened
will
today.
get into a little bit. But the Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau. Jalen Brunson, after the game, was told or was asked if Tom Thibodeau is the guy made for this team to bring him to a championship. And he said, "Is that a serious question right now?" Of course he is.
Right.
In my heart, I thought it was not true. I
Hmm.
don't think he's the guy to bring them to a championship. I mean, you talk about all his reigns as a head coach. He gets you to this point, and then he kind of dips off a little bit. And I'm not
Hmm.
saying that's just because of his coaching. I mean, look at the teams he has around him, but I don't know. I know Jalen Brunson has to defend his guy, but at the end of the day, I feel like even in his heart, he's kind of done with Tibbs.
Yeah, well, they're all done with him. He's gone. So whether they were or weren't done with him, that's not a debate anymore because he's gone. And we're gonna start looking towards who's going to be the next guy. I know there's a lot big coaching carousel in the NBA right now with a lot of guys who've won championships, been to finals, and are out of the league. So we'll see what the Knicks do there. Like you said, I think I'm a little more high than you on his ability to win a championship. But like you said, he's proven time and time again he can get you to this point, but he can't go any further. So.
Yeah.
Well, and we'll
I mean,
get to that in a minute, but for now, let's talk about the Knicks, right? We kind of already covered the Wolves a little bit last episode when it looked like their series was over back then. So I think we'll talk a little bit more about the reaction with the Knicks this episode. Like you said, Tom Thibodeau being fired was probably one of the first of many dominoes to fall for this offseason.
mhm.
You can go ahead and look online already. There's people complaining about Josh Hart's effort throughout the series, Mikal Bridges' effort throughout the series. But what's the most surprising to me, Brooks, is that people are criticizing Karl Anthony Towns defensively. And I think this is a good topic for debate because while that critic is granted, and he's not the greatest defensive player in the big position that we've ever seen,
Yeah.
I'm I still don't think you can be criticizing him. I mean, without him, I think that series would have been a sweep for the Pacers. I mean, he was easily the reason they won. What was it, game four, game three?
Game three was
Yeah, game
easily the
three.
reason they
Easily,
won game
easily is
three.
the reason he won. And he was a big part of why they were keeping it close for most of that series in the non-blowout games. So, yeah, and the nights where Jalen Brunson kind of withered away or couldn't step up, he did, at least offensively. So, I don't know. What do you think of the critic to Karl Anthony Towns'
let
play from
let
this
me say this.
playoffs?
I think it's first of all, I think it's horrible because not
Hmm.
only has the guy we talk about game 3, right? But this season he averaged 21 points and 12 rebounds in the playoffs, right? This
Hmm.
guy isn't a scrub. If you have a scrub on defense, right? He better make up for it on offense. And it's the same thing back and forth. Now, one of the things that is a granted critic, for example, Rudy Gobert,
Right.
is great defensively.
Hmm.
Offensively, he is a liability. I mean,
Yeah.
he is a problem. He's 7'1", and has trouble putting the ball in the hoop from 3 feet away, from anywhere inside 10 feet. Somehow it's not automatic for Rudy Gobert.
Right.
For Karl Anthony Towns, we're talking, right? Statistically, I'm not saying this as an opinion. Statistically, is the greatest 3-point center of all time.
Yeah.
statistically. I mean, I'm not. You can make arguments about big men shooting stuff like that, like a Dirk Nowitzki back in the day, or even now with the stretch fours. But I'm talking statistically speaking, as a center, best 3-point shooter. He really helps you space the floor. He grabbed 12 rebounds, like I said, 21 points a game. I mean, I don't think he was an issue at all offensively. Now, is the defensive critic warranted? Like you said, yes. But still,
Hmm.
I mean, we're talking about a guy who shot 35% from three, right? 49% from the field, which granted, a lot of those shots are not 2-foot layups, but
Hmm.
that's just how the offense is run. I don't think Cat's a problem at all. I don't
No.
think he is.
And
I think
I think it's kind of crazy for all the fans that are saying trade him. I
call me.
think.
I mean, I'm going to say it right now. Again, it's going to flip to this. Mikal Bridges in that Celtics series was good. He
Hmm.
was good. He made everyone knows the highlight plays, the defensive plays, but he had like a DeMar DeRozan mid-range game going on in those first
Mikel,
two series. I mean, he
yeah,
just was hitting mid-rangers like it was nothing. This last
yeah,
series, it was like, go get a
yeah.
job,
No,
homie.
this
Like, what
is.
are you doing on the court?
I think, and again, this is gonna sound kind of ridiculous right now because look, and this is a team that just went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I'm not saying Mikal Bridges had a bad year or anything, but that
Mhm.
trade's gonna hurt the Knicks in the future. I mean, 5 first rounders for a guy who's cons could be considered your fourth option offensively some nights
Yeah.
is just kind of bizarre, just for what you gave up for him. So yeah, I think that trade's really gonna hurt them. If I'm smart, I'm trying to flip him this offseason because he didn't really. It's just not that he didn't pan out to what you wanted him to be, but you have a wing defender that's pretty good in OG Anunoby, so you don't, and you have two of the NBA's highest level of scorers, and Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. I just don't see a reason for Mikal Bridges to kind of stay on this team. You can fill the role that he is bringing much cheaper. Um, and he could have retained his first round picks. Now,
Let me
granted, if these is a Knicks team that's making the playoffs in the Eastern Conference Finals for the next 5 6 years, then maybe the trade isn't as bad because that pick's not worth as much. But
now say this. Say this for a second, okay? It's check
mhm,
ball right here. Check ball.
okay,
The Eastern Conference. I talked about this a couple podcasts ago, but
hmm,
I just need to bring it up again. And I need you to be serious. Don't say the 76ers are topping the East next year
right,
automatically, okay?
yeah.
Who is challenging the Knicks in the Eastern Conference next year? Is
So
it
the
the Cavs and the Pacers?
76ers, let me just go over their roster real quick. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Um,
Just, is it the Cavs and the Pacers? Is that really the only two?
Well,
Because
I think
the
right. We'll
Celtics
get
could
to the
still be up
Celtics here in a
there,
minute.
but
The Pacers, we'll put the Pacers there because they're going to the finals. We know what they're capable of, and we'll see how that roster retains. But I think they'll bring back that core. Celtics, that's a big question mark. We've already seen the GM, head coach, people in the organization come out and say we're trading players this offseason. Not everyone's
exactly,
staying.
yeah.
We can't afford it. We're thinking long term. So players are gone. Most likely Jalen Brown. We all know how I feel about the
But if
situation over in Boston, but
but let me stop you right there. If
hmm,
Jalen Brown goes, who's the Celtics? I don't even want to be that guy, but the Celtics might fall all the way into play-in territory. I'm not trying to be that guy,
no,
but
yeah, no, that's fairly reasonable. I mean,
literally, Derek White would probably be the would.
We can talk about how Jason Tatum can't carry a team for the rest of this episode if you want to. But yeah, no, I don't.
No,
We can talk about the
Jason
Celtics.
Tatum's out for the season.
Oh yeah, that's right. I
That's what
forgot.
I'm saying. So Jalen Brown's your one. If you trade Brown, your one is Derek White. I feel like Derek White's going to get
He might
shipped,
get traded
right?
too.
I feel like Derek White's going to get shipped over Brown. And
No,
then this year, yes,
mm-mm. I
why
think
not?
Jalen Brown's the first to go because he and Tatum are making the same exact amount of money, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't really do that much differently. I mean, I think you keep Tatum because he's bigger and can do more offensively, but in terms of like scoring and defensive pressure, there's no reason to
But
pay that
take
much
this
money.
gamble. Take this gamble, right? Jalen Brown, for his entire career, bar his rookie season, even his rookie season wasn't. His entire career has been number two, has been a
Right.
Robin. His
Yeah.
entire career. Now you could play. You're playing poker right here. You're taking a risk. You keep Jalen Brown and he shows out, right? He becomes a 29 point per game scorer. He has decent efficiency. He looks like a one option.
Hmm.
You can now look at his contract and go, he's worth that contract, and you can ship him. But if
But I
you
think
ship him,
it's okay. Continue.
you ship
Sorry.
him now as a Robin, you might not get as much value, right? And his
Hmm.
age, you think about Derek White's age,
Hmm.
You think about the age of the team, Porzingis. You think about Al Horford, of course. Al Horford's
He's
not going to be
probably
on that team next
retiring.
year.
I think he's
Yeah,
going to retire.
Derek White. Think about that entire team. I don't. If you trade Brown, right? I don't know
Hmm.
what the pieces are in return. I'm just saying, if Brown's not on the team, you take him out. I
Well,
don't.
that's
That team's not
again.
even close.
We'll talk about the we can talk about the Celtics another time. But my thought is, if you keep Jalen Brown, everyone else has to go. You have to rebuild your role players from scratch. You're going to have to redraft all of your rotational pieces. I just can't see how they keep Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum and Kristaps Porzingis and Derek White. I think both of them are going to have to go if you want to retain both. I mean, you have two players on top on the three of the biggest deals in the NBA on your team. That's just not a recipe for success, unless it's the best two players of all time. That's just been proven time and time again in the NBA. These super teams don't work out when you have two really good players that are really good at doing essentially the same thing and a really bad supporting cast around them. I and for those reasons, and I think the failure of super teams in the past, I think you're going to see the Boston Celtics trade Jalen Brown. I don't think they're going to wait for the gamble that you propose. It's too much in the air, especially like you said, Jason Tatum's not playing next season. Let's get rid of our guy that would step up. Maybe we don't even make the play in next year. Maybe we have a lottery pick that turns into a top five. We see how the draft lottery is rigged. So we could have a next Jalen Brown drafted next season, keep Porzingis, keep Derek White, have Jason Tatum come back, hope Peyton Pritchard evolves. Again, the Celtics have a fascinating offseason in front of them. We'll see what they do. We'll probably talk about them a little once they make their first move, but I think the original start of this conversation was teams that can challenge the Knicks next season, right?
Yes,
We said the Pacers, they're going to the finals. I would like to throw the Magic up there. You have Paulo Banchero coming back off that injury. He's a
it's a
great
good one.
player. They have a really good young supporting cast. I'm high on the Magic. I think they'll be up there next year. Cleveland, like you said, that's another team to keep your eye on. We'll see how they reshape their team this offseason. But
Can I
Evan
stop you
Mobley
there
coming
again?
up. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Evan Mobley's coming up. Donovan Mitchell's balling out. Darius Garland. Those three right there. I think I like that. And like you said, we have or this kind of relates to the Celtics, but they're blowing that team up. If they do trade Jalen Brown, does he go to the East? Does he go to the West? I mean, he could get traded to he could get traded to a mid-range Eastern Conference team, and that's going to bolster them. We'll see where Giannis goes. I mean, the Bucks are probably going to fall out to the bottom of the conference, but if Giannis ends up on another good team in the East, we'll see what they can contend with the Knicks. So, kind of like you're saying, the beauty of the Eastern Conference is we don't really know what it's going to look like next year. We know we know the Knicks are probably going to try and retain Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, all of those guys, OG Anunoby. If they were smart, they're going to try and trade Mikal Bridges. We'll see if he goes to the East or West. I know you don't want me talking about it, but we'll see what the 76ers do. They might
Yep.
trade
No,
Paul
that's fair.
George.
That's fair. Yep.
They could trade Joel Embiid if they really feel like there's something worth trading him for. So I don't know. I think it's a little early to tell or to say who's going to be that confident, like sort of contender with the Knicks next year at the top of the conference. We're going to have to at least let this next let's let the draft play out and see if that has anything to do with it. But if you had to ask me right now, I'm going to say, yeah, it'd probably be the Pacers or the Cavs.
I had to just check to make sure this was right
Hmm.
because I wanted to just, have all chips on the table and be, not wrong. But the Cleveland Cavaliers cap space for
Hmm.
next season is negative 87 million.
Yeah, so they're gonna have to get rid of some players.
Donovan Mitchell's making 46 million. Mobley's going to make the same at 46. Garland's making 40.
I
DeAndre
think
Hunter's making 24. I
yeah,
think Garland's a
he's getting traded. I think.
look at a piece right there in Darius Garland. So again, the East is open. Now I want to open this for you.
Hmm.
There's two names. You've already brought up one, but there's two names that people have discussed going to the Knicks. One is Giannis, and two is what if Mikal Bridges was shipped back to Phoenix for Kevin
Kevin
Durant?
Durant. Yeah, I mean,
Would you like either of those moves?
both of those I think elevate. Um,
But the thing is, I think if you
Kevin
trade
Durant, I
if you
think is the better player in this scenario because at his
for their team
age,
fit.
he's a better fit, that's for sure, because you know what he can go in and do. He can score, he'd be 25 a night easily. So I think he's proven time and time again that he can still get his buckets while being on a team with high volume scorers. You look at the Warriors, look at the Nets, look at the Thunder, look at Phoenix. So I think him fitting in with the Knicks would be good offensively. Now, I don't know how they're gonna work out defensive sets with him, Towns, and Brunson in the game. All three of those are defensive liabilities. So they're going to have to rotate heavily with Hardstein, Josh Hart, and OG Anunoby. Now, the Giannis trade is a little more interesting for the defensive front, um, because that's a guy who you can throw in and not that can help Karl Anthony Towns, and then you can switch Towns with Hartenstein and not worry about and that just makes the defense better. My only problem with trading for Giannis, right? It's kind of the same problem we've just been talking about with Mikal Bridges. You already have a very high volume scorer in Jalen Brunson. That's your one. Karl Anthony Towns, like you said, statistically the greatest 3-point shooting center of all time. Another very high volume scorer. I just don't think that's for Giannis's game. I mean, he's also a guy that needs the ball in his hands, like Jalen Brunson. I just don't think there's enough to go around for that scenario. If I'm being honest,
I agree.
If I'm the Knicks, and and I need to kind of reevaluate. I'm trading Mikal Bridges for a good, like, rotational wing guy that can come in, play some defense at the 3 or 4, and can make a couple threes here and there, and draft capital. There's no point in trading for any more stars. You have your core, right? You have Pat, you have Brunson, you have Josh Hart, Anunoby, Hartenstein, all these guys. You don't really need to add any more often or stars. You need depth, and you need capital for the future. I mean, honestly, I think this trade will go down as probably one of the worst because they're not going to have a first round pick for 5 years because of this. So we'll see what happens with the Knicks.
Half a decade is a long time for
Mhm,
not having a first round pick. And when it comes to the Knicks, right? I
mhm.
think I'm going to say something that's crazy, but follow me for a second.
Okay.
Kevin Durant's playoff track record, I'm not talking about him personally, but just with the teams he's been on and all of that, has not been good. I mean, we're talking, if you want to throw it back, we're talking Bucks Nets was the last time that Kevin Durant was in a series where it was super, super significant, right?
Hmm.
And I'm not saying the playoffs aren't super significant. I'm just saying further down the line. You look at Giannis, right? And I look at the team fit, like you said, right? You'd probably ship Bridges, right? I don't know. Maybe Hart goes in that too. I don't know all the pieces that would go in that. Maybe OG Anunoby has to go in that too. But if OG and Mikal go in that, because you don't have your first round picks, if OG and Mikal go, you're losing OG, who's one of the best shooters on your team, 37%. You're losing Mikal, who's a good defender. And then he talks about Jalen Brunson being a ball dominant player. Giannis shot the most field goals last season, shot the most 2-point shots last season, shot the most free throws last season. I mean, he shoots a lot, right? That's
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah, I know.
Brunson does also do that. Cat shot 42%. If Giannis comes in straight for Mikal, let's say Josh Hart stays and Anunoby stays, I don't like the fit because Anunoby's a good shooter. Cat's a good shooter, so maybe he pushes out to the wing and Giannis plays in the paint. Like, I don't know what they would do here. So,
The only way I see that working, and stay with me here. Have you ever played my team NBA 2K?
of course, I have.
Right. So you know when you're at the late stages of the game and everyone has all the high cards, 99 overalls. Now I'm pretty sure they're hundreds, but everyone has the great cards. So your bench players are about just as good as your starting players, right? The
Yeah.
only way I kind of see that working is if one of them kind of says stuffs their pride away and say, "All right, I'll come in and be like the leader or the main scorer for that kind of second rotation," right? And this is a conversation we can have another time about egos and all that, but none of them would do that. That's plain and simple. No NBA player who's a star of their team wants to be told, "Hey, we have too many stars on the team. Do you want to be the leader of the backups?" No,
Mm-hmm.
no one wants to do that. So maybe, maybe one of those three can be like, "Yeah, honestly, I could see Giannis being like, yeah, I'll do that," but he's too good to do that. That's my other point. So I don't know. I'll put it this way, right? The last few teams we've seen that have made super teams, right? The Phoenix Suns, the Nets,
They're just
even the
missed, man.
Sixers. Yeah, the Sixers. they trade away draft picks and capital and good rotation
I mean,
players for win now
you
stars.
could even make the argument that the Lakers are a super
Yeah,
team. You could make
you
the
could.
argument. You
You
could.
could.
I don't think so,
I think
but
the best two teams in this argument are the Nets and the Suns because they both had good rosters. The Nets when they had just KD and Kyrie and they had good depth around them, and then they
what about
decided to
Harden?
blow. Yeah, oh, I'm
Yeah.
getting to that.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
decided.
yeah.
I'm saying the Nets. I think had a pretty good team when they had KD and Kyrie and they had a decent sort of core around them that looked like they could win. And they said, no, we want more. They kind of blew that core up, traded their young picks and their draft capital to go get James Harden. And granted, we never saw what that trio could do because of injuries, but I mean, you remember all the headlines after they traded for James Harden. They started signing guys that weren't even on teams, old like vets, like not Andre Drummond, like
But
LaMarcus Aldridge, players like that.
if you speed this up as well, the same thing happened to the Suns,
No, no,
right?
that's what I'm saying.
When
So when they
but like even the same thing, right? With the super team is they were signing guys where I was like, that is sure, like
right.
I mean, Yusuf Nurkic was their center option, and I remember when they
Mhm.
traded for Bradley Beal, it was like they had 7 players on their roster, and they were already past the cap threshold of
Or
everything. So
it
everyone
was
needed to be a vet minimum. That's what it was.
right. And it's like this is also a Phoenix Suns team that had just come off a finals loss, and it's their mentality was instead of rebuilding around this young core, let's blow up this young core to get stars in the building to win now, and it just doesn't
Exactly.
work. So my point and kind of where I'm going with this little spiel is I want to see the Knicks stick to this core. Trade Mikal Bridges, I'm cool with that, but you keep Cat, you keep Brunson, you keep OG, you keep Josh Hart, and you go trade Mikal for another role player and some picks, and you run it back. Because I think, again, and we'll get a new coach, throw that in there as well, but that's a Knicks roster that could have easily won that series and could be playing the Thunder in the finals. It just didn't go their way. And I think teams look at series in the playoffs that don't go their way and think, no, we have to be better, and they end up ruining everything. So that's kind of my last point on the Knicks. If there's anything else you'd like to say on that, the Knicks?
Genuinely, I think next episode we should talk a lot about the East and the Celtics and all that.
Yeah,
But
we'll
yeah,
get into the East.
um,
But yeah, we'll wait we'll wait a little while, let the sort of free agency market trade
even then, I think it'd be good for hypotheticals to talk
yeah,
about it.
we can do some predictions. We can do some predictions, but we can briefly go over to the West. We kind of talked about this last episode, the Wolves and Thunder matchup. The Thunder ended up winning, kind of like we both predicted. That
Mhm.
series just kind of looked over. I know we also, not in the last episode, but in the interim, we talked about the Thunder's defense and how that has ability for winning championships. And I think we'll talk briefly about the finals. How about this? Because I think a lot of people on the internet have like, oh, this is the most boring finals of all time. Indiana versus Oklahoma City. Who cares? I mean, it's two teams in the Midwest, and no one could probably point to on a map where they are. So, Brooks, why is this such a good matchup?
This is a good matchup, in my opinion. Two main reasons. One, you have three actually. One, you have an MVP in there, so you have
Hmm.
a star marketable player.
Yeah.
Two, number one offense in the playoffs versus the number one defense in the playoffs.
Hmm.
So that ties into three, which is you're going to watch some good basketball, right? You're going to get some good hoops. If you like offense, you're going to like Indiana. If you like defense, you're going to like Oklahoma City, right? You're going to like this series if you like pure basketball. For a casual fan, I understand that it's not a big market. Maybe that doesn't tend towards you. But again, the reason why this also could be really good is the playoff environments as well. Indiana and Oklahoma City have had arguably the two best playoff environments this
Hmm.
playoffs,
Yeah.
at least in terms of the East and the West. You may argument they're top for each.
Yeah.
I think this is
Um,
perfect for
There's another,
basketball.
I think there's another great top or kind of storyline that you forgot to mention. Neither one of these franchises has ever won before. So one of these
That's a
two
good
teams
one.
is winning their first finals. So obviously that's exciting for both fan bases. Me and you being fans of neither. Even from the outside perspective, though, it's enjoying to watch because
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna see one of these, and like you said, talking about the stars with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's slowly becoming, as some people would say, the face of the league, at least one of the faces of the league.
Yes,
Um, but
I
there's a
disagree.
lot of
Yeah.
other discourse online that's starting to pop up, mainly after the Pacers beat the what was it, the Knicks.
Hmm.
But I think this is the most popular one is people are saying it's time to start a dialogue, and they're saying Tyrese Halliburton's a better all-time player than Luka Doncic. So what do we think of that, Brooks?
Is that a serious talk?
Yeah.
That's a serious conversation.
I don't know if it's that serious. I think it's probably started as someone's hot take, but then people started agreeing with it, and then people got angry at people agreeing with it,
Yeah,
and now
how
it's
is he
turned into
even
discourse.
how is he close?
So the one thing I've seen, right? If he wins, if the Pacers win the finals and
Yep.
Halliburton is named Finals MVP,
Yep.
there's an argument because Luke hasn't done that yet.
Okay,
And
but
right, hold
does
on.
that this is stupid. This is the stupidest thing I've
I know,
heard.
I know.
This is the stupidest thing I've
I
heard.
think it's I'm not saying if he wins it that's the narrative, right? But I'll say if the Pacers go out, win the finals, Tyrese Halliburton plays amazing, wins finals MVP, I think there's an argument to be had. Or at least a discussion.
No.
Okay.
There's no discussion to be had.
Okay.
There is zero discussion to be had. There's no way
Okay.
you think Tyrese Halliburton is a better
Hmm.
all-time player than Luka Doncic.
Right. No, yeah, no. It's
Also,
pretty
also,
insane.
I don't know why people will be saying this. Luka Doncic led his team to a finals, right?
Hmm.
Luka Doncic led his team to another Western Conference Finals appearance, right?
Hmm.
Luka Doncic has been in multiple MVP conversations, right?
Hmm.
Just missing out on some MVPs. I mean,
Hmm.
what are we doing here? Did
Well,
did he win Western Conference Finals MVP or was it Kyrie? Or Kyrie wasn't on. Like
I think he won it.
I
I think
think
you're
he
right.
so like there's
I think
a
you're right.
accolade that Tyrese Halliburton
That's
doesn't
true.
have, right?
You're right.
Like
You're right.
right. So this is stupid and right the whole Finals MVP joke. Okay,
Hmm.
let's say Indiana does it, Tyrese Halliburton wins it, right? He's got the finals over Luca. Finals MVP, really? Does that make Iggy Iguodala a better player than some people like Steph Curry because he had one Finals MVP and Curry had zero? No, we watch it with our eyes. Iguodala in his prime was awesome, but we know how Curry is. So we watch it with our eyes and using stats. We know Curry's better than Iggy.
Hmm.
So like, what that's a stupid conversation.
I think a lot of it comes from recency bias. Luka
Yeah.
went to the Lakers this season and did not play well. And like kind of like you were alluding to is we sit back, we think of Luka as this amazing player of all time, right? Top 75 player of all time. But he doesn't have any accolades, right? He's got some first all team first NBAs. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think Tyrese Halliburton has any of those. And like you mentioned, he has that Western Conference Western Conference Finals MVP.
Yep.
But I mean, all-star appearances. Yeah, he's definitely got more of that, but Halliburton's got his fair share. They both the same amount of conference finals appearances and wins. Like you said, we'll see how Halliburton does in the finals, but I mean, they have the same amount of MVPs, defensive players of the year, all that good stuff. So it's just I don't know. Again, I think a lot of it does come from that recency bias of Luka underperforming this season and the lack of accolades, but
No, it's all recency bias. And let me give you a good example because it lands close to home. And I'm gonna pull a hot take right here as well.
hmm.
Tyrese Halliburton in one of the games had like 8 points.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
no, he was
he had
terrible.
8 points. Okay,
He's terrible.
call me crazy. I'm gonna say this right now, and I'm gonna compare it. But let me just do this. When the Atlanta Hawks made the Eastern Conference Finals, and Trey Young was having amazing games, people were putting Trey Young up there. Now
Hmm.
people are disrespecting Trey Young, in my opinion. Hot take right here. I think you put Trey Young in the Indiana Pacers. What changes? Seriously, what changes? He gets same amount of buckets. He's the best passer in the game. Most assists this season, right? Best passer in the league. And you look at his supporting cast compared to the Pacers, right?
Yeah,
I
no,
think Trey Young would be begging to have someone like Siakam on his team.
I know you're absolutely right. I think Tyrese Halliburton as a superstar is a lot like Jason Tatum, where on a good
Oh,
night
this Jason
he'll give you
Tatum hate needs to stop.
he'll give you one of the best performances
This
you've
is
ever seen.
baloney.
Then the next night you're questioning why they're in the NBA. So
You got proven wrong about this last time. I ain't even gonna start a dialogue about this
no,
again.
no, 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 no.
I'm not gonna entertain this blasphemy.
Blasphemy, because you know I'm right.
No, not even close.
Jason Tatum on the Pistons doesn't make the playoffs.
That's stupid.
Okay. Actually, no, not this year's
Horrible.
Pistons. That was my argument last year for last year's Pistons.
That's a little more. They'd win a lot more games, but they actually with Cade. Wait. If you like put him with Cade, are we putting
No,
Cade on that team?
no, they were like they
Replace him.
switch roles. They
Okay,
switch
then that'd be a
roles.
little tough. Yeah, it would be a little tough. But I was gonna say Cade and Tatum on that team. All right, maybe they make the playoffs in the East, bro.
No,
But that's fair.
you switch Cade Cunningham and Jason Tatum last season.
But
The team's respective positions don't switch.
we talk about
Or don't
guards
change.
in the
Yeah, we're talking
East,
about
right?
guards. Okay.
We talk about point guards in the East, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Or even guards, right? People would probably pick Donovan Mitchell over him. People would probably pick Jalen Brunson over him. I said Trae Young. I'm taking Trae Young over him. I'm saying I'm
Are we talking
taking
about in the
Trae Young.
East?
Sure, in the East too. In the West, we can go on for days.
Yeah,
But in
I
the
mean,
East,
if we're getting hot takes here about our teams, I don't even think he's the best Tyrese in the East, but that's another
yeah, we know how you feel
conversation.
about Tyrese Maxey, right?
That's
So
another
like
conversation for
we
another day.
exactly when
But
people rise in the playoffs, right? You get a really good reputation. That's why there's playoff Jimmy Butler. Okay.
hmm
But I don't go back and say Jimmy Butler's the best guard in the game, right? We know that's not true. In the playoffs, if we're talking about playoff performances, that's different. But in general, see, you're having two different conversations, right?
all right.
Even then, I think Halliburton in these playoffs, he had that triple double. Insane.
hmm
Next game, or one of the next games, 8 points, right? In one of those.
Mhm.
So
Well, we'll see how he does in the finals.
exactly. Now
Yeah,
let's get to
let's briefly give our predictions for that then.
exactly.
Okay, now we're on the same page. Um, I'm gonna go with the same team I've been going with all year,
Yeah,
but
makes sense.
it's not gonna be as close as you think. I'm taking Thunder in six.
Mm. I love the Indiana Pacers magical run,
Yeah,
but
don't doubt them. I was
all
gonna say sweet, but I felt
no,
that was a little too
no,
disrespectful.
all good things come to an end, and I think the looking at how they match up, right?
Oh boy.
Pacers again got to shoot lights out, and they've been doing it all playoffs. But now they're playing the number one defense, and
Damn.
I have a feeling, like I've been saying, the torture chamber. He's gonna come in and lock you up. Give me the Thunder in Cinco in 5. I think the Thunder are gonna take it. And honestly, crazier hot take right here. I think it goes 1-1 back to Indiana.
Okay. Yeah, I don't hate
1-1
that.
back to
I think they
Indiana.
win the first game. I think Indiana wins the first game, honestly.
I think it goes 1-1 back to Indiana, and then Thunder clean up the next three and call it a
We'll
finals.
see.
I
I
mean,
mean,
seriously.
yeah, but we could come back here next week and the Pacers could be up 3-0. Tyrese Halliburton, three straight 40-point triple doubles, and
And if that happens, I'll
we will
I'll take back the Trae Young take. But for
not
right
only
now,
that,
it's
but
valid.
we're gonna restart the other dialogue. But let's get away from the NFL or the NBA right now and move over into the NFL because it's probably not the best time of the year for football, but we're getting there, you know.
We are.
The UFL's going on.
Oh
I'm
no,
kind of
just move, bro. Just
okay.
move.
Sorry. Um,
UFL. Come on now.
you don't like the UFL?
I turn it on if I want background noise, big dog.
Well, don't you want to see some of your old favorites who don't have it anymore
Like
try and
what, Amari
play?
Rogers?
Yeah, there we
Like, come
go.
on now.
Max
Let
Duggan.
Max Duggan plays in the UFL.
Either that or the CFL, one of the two. Anyway,
What a goat!
we're not going to talk
Hey,
about the FLs that aren't the NFL because that's what we like to talk
the
about.
national one,
It's
yeah.
OTAs, right? That's what we're talking about. Not man or non-mandatory OTAs, rookie OTAs, whatever you want to call them. I don't know if those are the same thing or not, but we're back. And
Get that brother. Get
It's
that
time to
brother Stephon
overreact a
Diggs
little.
back in practice.
He's back in practice. He's reported to practice. Don't worry. They don't have any plans of cutting him. I don't know if they're gonna have to drug test him,
Dating
but we'll
Cardi
see.
B should be a cuttable offense. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Um,
let's
but
hear
yeah,
your
I don't know.
Eagles
Well, I don't know how
overreaction.
much you follow OTA or team OTAs this early in the season that aren't your own team, right? Because
Correct.
I could sit here and talk for probably the next 30 minutes about the Eagles OTAs, but there's only so much limited information I know about other teams. I can go ahead and tell you from rookie OTAs, Travis Hunter didn't look great off the gate. I'm sure everyone saw that video of that terrible route he ran. I mean, honestly, I think I could run a better comeback route than that. But the reports came out today that that is improved drastically.
Yep.
And another lot of reports coming out of Jaguars OTAs is that he has adjusted to an NFL cornerback with ease, and that he possesses the traits and skills of an elite NFL DB.
You definitely read this off Dov Kleiman or some stupid shit
It
like
was
that.
Bleacher Report, but so not really giving myself a lot of credit there, but who
Fair.
knows? Who knows? Maybe he could turn out to be this
I think
phenom
Travis
that we
Hunter's
all
going to be
thought.
good.
I
I
do
think
too.
he's going to be good. So
Other than that,
the
we've had a lot of
OTAs is
number
when
switches
people
too.
are deprived of football
Yeah, I
and
know.
they want to create storylines to talk about,
I
right?
know.
And
It's a
are they
lot of,
right?
yeah, they're not.
Yes. There can sometimes be
No.
really good things to talk about in OTAs. I won't lie. But sometimes there's these big stretches, right? I think the most valid time to stretch something out can be a preseason game because you actually see action on the field. And preseason games are like people are dying in preseason games because those are their contracts are on the line.
It's
So
true. That is true.
I think preseason games are sometimes good to overreact on because it does show something. OTAs, come on now. Let's
And then
let let me
this
say this
is
about OTAs.
okay.
Michael Penix is throwing an absolute tight spiral to Drake London, and that'll be a top 5 connection in the NFL next year.
All
There
right.
you go.
See, he's already lost
See?
it, guys.
Exactly.
So, we've had some number switches this week as well. I think most notable, or some of the ones I'm remembering off the top of my head, Ricky Pearsall for the 49ers, switching from 14 to 1 after that fat ass Deebo Samuel left. So he's gonna take that number back, wearing his college number.
Yo, that Haywatch is going to be
Jameer
instrumental.
Jameer Gibbs, taking off 26, putting on number 0. Um, I like
Kind
that. I don't think you
I
can.
don't.
I don't think
I
you can
don't.
rock. I don't. Well, I'm going to say this. We'll come back to that. And the other
26 is
one, it
bad,
was
man.
Brian Branch. He switched from, I think he switched to, crap. And then I know Jahan Dotson switched from like 83 to 2. And there's another big one. I'm just trying to remember what I saw on ESPN earlier today. But yeah, let's talk about the Jameer Gibbs because they also revealed the cover of Madden. And to no one's surprise, I was
We
right.
called it. Well, yeah, you
I
called it
was I
mostly,
was
yeah.
right. I kind of said that's going to be the next Madden cover like 30 minutes after it happened, so I called it all the way back then. But I think a lot of people did, to be honest. I mean, when you saw that live, there's no way you're like, this
Yeah, you
isn't going
knew
to
they
be
were
the
gonna do
cover of
something with it,
Madden.
so
It's Madden 26 too, so like it just you know it. You knew it was going to happen.
I didn't even
So
connect that. Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
no shocker that Saquon Barkley and his reverse hurdle are on the cover of Madden 26. And that's why people are saying Junior Gibbs had to change. And I'm sure that's not why. I'm sure he just likes the number 0 better. But yeah, I don't think you can rock 26 as a running back after what Saquon Barkley did last season.
I wonder what Jameer Gibbs' college number was.
He went to Bama, right?
Yes, he went to Bama.
He definitely wore
He
like
was 1.
16.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. So
it
I
was
remember
one
him
or
being a
like
single digit number
42.
2, but he was 1. Okay. So let me say this about Madden 26. Let's be brutally honest here. Baron, are you gonna buy the game this year?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know because I'm not. Unless something crazy happens, I don't think I'll buy the game. I really don't buy
Okay.
the Maddens. I really get the Maddens until they're free. Like Madden 25 became free like 2 months ago, and I just grabbed it.
hmm
And I just play like franchise with the boys. How
Yeah, that's mainly what I do.
how quickly do you think? Okay, then it's gonna be a little bit of a different answer. But how quickly do you think you're gonna buy the game and then stop playing it?
Well, I gave up playing probably 5 years ago.
I'm so proud of you, kid.
Just wasn't in the budget anymore. Let's call it how it is. I couldn't afford to play it.
Yeah, pay to
So
win ass game
I
mode.
kind of
So
phased out of that. I mean, play now is always fun with friends locally and online. I mean, if you know how to play the game, which I do, always enjoy doing that.
whoa, 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 whoa. You know how to play the game?
Mhm.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone listening, me and Baron did a play now, and I didn't play Madden for like 3 years on the sticks, and I beat him. So
If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure I was impaired. So we can recycle back to that another
we'll
time. You
run
know
it
what?
back. Oh,
Maybe
whoa, whoa,
yeah, but
whoa,
I think we
whoa,
just had the
whoa.
same idea. We just had the same idea.
No,
So
we
we'll
didn't.
wait for
No, we didn't. You
well,
can say your
okay,
idea.
what
Mine's
is it?
different. Let me say this.
What
Let me say
is
this.
it?
I beat him, right? with
Hmm.
the Atlanta Falcons. And he was, remember, a losing football team, and he was the Super Bowl champions too, in in Philly. I'm just letting y'all know, just like Kirk Cousins did in Week 2, I beat
Again,
this man in Philly in prime time.
again,
Come on,
Like Aaron Rodgers, I was impaired, and I was not, and I don't play like Aaron Rodgers like that. So I'm gonna call rematch, and you know what? We'll do the rematch. We'll record it when Madden
we'll
26
record
come
it.
out.
I'm
We'll
down for
do the
that.
rematch. We'll
We'll run it.
upload it
We'll run
right
it.
here, and we'll upload it. Yeah, there we go. When Madden 26 comes out, though, so
Yeah,
we'll have our
wait, when
fresh
Madden
teams.
26 drops on like the 14th of August,
Hmm.
we'll run it like that week or like the second week, because then we'll go back to school and I'll drive up and we'll run it. 4-0 agreed. We'll run it.
You're not gonna enjoy it.
Oh, when I
My team's gonna be a
smoke you, when I
95. My team's gonna
smoke
be a
you, you're
95.
gonna be cooked.
No, yeah, I can't wait to do it with a clear mind too. So
You're
yeah,
gonna be
we'll
cooked.
get that to you. Is there anything else you want to add tonight?
Oh, you had something you want to bring up. Was
What
that
was
it?
it?
The idea of
Um,
playing on stream
yeah,
or
that was
on?
it. Yeah,
That's
that was my
smart.
idea.
Ooh, something I want to bring up. First of all, I wanted to bring this up, and I don't want to
Hmm.
make everyone sad and ponder, but sports science host passed away, lost his battle to depression. So, anyone, if you're listening, always be free to reach out and talk, right? Always see you have someone to talk to. So, there you go. That's what I want to talk to. June is also
Lyndon
Mental
Ear
Health Awareness
too.
Month.
Yeah, Lyndon Ear.
So,
Yeah, that's all. I
please,
don't have anything else other than that.
please, yeah. Honestly, reach out to either of us. Reach out to me specifically because I'm opening to it. But yeah, always do that because it is a tough challenge for everyone out there. Thought I'd bring it up because I love that show. And everyone, literally right before the tragic news happened, was talking about bringing the show back.
Mm.
So, would I still like to bring the show back? Of course, but it just won't be the same without him. And yeah, there you go.
All right.
And Falcons are winning 11 games next season.
All right. Well, we'll do a we'll okay. Wrap it up.
That'll be another episode of Nothing Agreed. Thank y'all for listening and peace.